contrary to the laws is committing an electoral offense and is in breach of the Electoral Code of Conduct. And as a result, if we find anybody who is engaging in campaigns beyond the gazetted timeline, that person will face the consequences. In terms of the polling day activities, we wish to remind the people of Ol Kalou that all the registered voters in Ol Kalou constituency, they must turn up with their national ID cards that are valid. And for the case of the passport, they must verify and confirm that their passport is valid, it has not expired, because these are the primary documents that will be used to identify each of the eligible voter, each of the voter who is in our digital register. In terms of identification, the actual identification of the voters during that day, from morning when we open the polling stations, once you show up with your ID or your passport that is valid, we shall use the biometric means to identify and authenticate those voters. Biometric means your fingerprints or your facial features, which we have captured in our database. Because the register we are using will be the digital register that is integrated in our KIMS kits. As required by law, we have gazetted the register for Ol Kalou constituency. And that register, I wish to assure the people of Ol Kalou and indeed Kenyans that that register is secure. And we certify that register on 5th of June 2026. So the register is published in the Kenya Gazette. It is a public document. You can access it there. And for those of you who are in Ol Kalou, the register is already displayed in each of the polling stations where you will be voting. So we have several copies that have been printed already and dispatched to those polling stations. And the law requires we do this 7 days before the election. So we have complied with the law. So anybody who claims that the register has been manipulated is spreading false, misleading, and unsupported rumors. So we urge the citizens to ignore any such persons, be they politicians or activists or any other representative of anybody in this republic. As IBC, we take the issue of the register seriously, and we make sure that it's only the authentic register that is being used during these elections. That, of course, goes to also the issue of identity cards. We heard through a section of the media, and we have investigated this matter, where certain politician has urged the citizens of Ol Kalou not to show up with their IDs or their passports. That is completely misleading, and that matter the Commission is dealing with it decisively. Opening and closing of the polling stations. Ladies and gentlemen, again, as per the law and our regulations, the polling stations open at 6 a.m. and they close at 5 p.m. And therefore, any station that for one reason or another that is justifiable is not open by 6 and there's a delay, we shall compensate that time which is lost and ensure that those people who turn up and who remain at the polling stations as late as 5 p.m. and they are on the queue, they will be granted the opportunity to continue to exercise their right to elect their member of parliament. So we shall not bar anybody who comes late, as long as you are at the polling station by 5 p.m. latest, in the evening, that is. So anybody who comes past 5 p.m. will not be allowed to join the queue in order to vote. So all those people who are eligible must come between 6 when we open and 5 p.m. when we close. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, and indeed fellow Kenyans, the use of mobile phones in the polling booth is prohibited. You heard some time back when we conducted the elections in other electoral areas, we saw one individual had taken a picture of their ballot paper after voting. They took pictures of the marked ballots and circulated it on the internet. We wish to remind Kenyans and indeed the voters of Ol Kalou that please do not take a picture of your ballot paper once you mark it, once you select the person you want to be your member of parliament. This is because the sanctity and the secrecy of the vote requires that you keep it secret. That's why it's very, very important that we facilitate you to vote by way of secret ballot. So it will defeat the purpose if you again make that ballot public. And it is against Section 7 of the Election Offences Act. You shall actually be prosecuted. And if you are found guilty, you will pay a fine a fine of up to 1 million Kenya shillings. So we need to tell Kenyans this matter is very serious. Besides that 1 million Kenya shillings, the offending party can also be imprisoned for a term of not exceeding 3 years for a simple act of taking a picture of your vote, either to show allegiance to whoever you are voting for or for some other benefit. I don't know what motivates people to expose who they voted for. So that is discouraged, it is prohibited, it's against the law, and it has consequences. In terms of assisted voters, you know, in some instances, we have those voters who for one reason or another are not able to go through the voting process, and they require special assistance. Be they people with disability or some form of illiteracy. The law allows that those voters can be assisted by a person of their choice. So nobody should force anybody to be assisted. If they wish to be assisted and our officials have verified that the person requires assistance, let that person choose a person of his or her choice to assist that person. We also wish to inform members of the public and the voting populations of Ol Kalou that no one person is allowed to assist more than one voter. We will not see a situation where one person is hovering around the polling stations and purporting to be assisting one voter after another, one voter after another. It is only one person to assist one voter, end of story. So again, that is something that we wish to communicate to the people of Ol Kalou to be on the lookout. In terms of accreditation of agents and and the conduct of anybody within the polling stations, and indeed our constituency tallying center, each participating political party or candidate is entitled to appoint one agent at each polling station.
Na bila shaka huyo ni mwenyekiti wa tume ya uchaguzi na mipaka nchini IEBC Erastus Ethekon akizungumza kuhusiana na uchaguzi mdogo wa Ol Kalou ambao unafanyika siku ya Alhamisi. Hebu tusikilize wananchi wanasema nini kuhusiana na